Hi everyone, this is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike, but that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode. And first of all, excuse that mess there. I'm actually going to be doing an architectural photo shoot on Monday. Now, this is Saturday, and I know this is a little obsessive compulsive, but I really don't do that much professional work, just really when people ask me. And this time, though, I'm going to be using Canon gear instead of Nikon gear. Normally, I use Nikon gear because I have a lot of Nikon gear. I have much less Canon gear, but a friend of mine is lending me or borrowing me this really cool, this is actually a pretty old lens. It's a Canon 16 to 35 super wide angle zoom lens with an f of 2.8, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I've used this a little bit to do some other work for him, and it's really kind of a fun lens to use, so I'll be using Canon gear. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about how I feel, in my personal opinion, that camera companies use YouTube at times to manipulate us to buy their products, which of course makes total sense because they are companies and they are selling their products. But how do they do this? Well, so YouTube, of course, is a channel that literally, I don't even know how many millions of people look at it every day, but lots of people. And the great thing about YouTube is that you select what you watch. So if you are going to have some sort of a thing on YouTube that advertises your product, you have people that are going to that to watch it. I mean, it's the perfect audience, and it's extremely inexpensive because, of course, it doesn't cost anything to be on YouTube. So there's a bunch of different levels, some traditional, some common, some I think a little more deceptive, at least in my opinion. So let's look at them. Well, certainly you have the traditional advertisements, and this comes in a lot of different ways. You might have like a slickly produced commercial. Nikon has some of these on there where it's clear. It says from Nikon. It's a commercial talking about their new product, whatever it may be, and it's very nicely done, and it's just like what you would see on TV or something like that. Then you have the more homespun kind of traditional things. This would be like more like the Fuji guys, where they're just sitting there at a regular desk, kind of just typical guys talking about a camera. But it's also very clear it's from Fuji. Fuji isn't pulling any punches, and it's an advertisement, and that's pretty cool too. You also might see the rep, the rep that's from the company at a trade show, for instance, or maybe at some camera shop on some camera channel, and again clearly identify talking about their new product, and I think that's all very above board. A few years ago, I started to see something that in my mind was advertising. Now maybe it wasn't, but it seemed to me like it was. And this was done by a variety of companies, but it was especially done by a company that, let's just say the brand name was Tony. And they were out to get the market from another big camera manufacturer. Let's just call that one Bannon. So Tony wanted Bannon's market, right? And you saw all of these channels pop up, some of them with somewhat known photographers. I had to wonder that they were so pro this product that, were they being compensated or not? I have no idea. But then tons of small, completely unknown photographers popped up, and a lot of them have just kind of disappeared. And they were really hawking a product, the Tony, let's say, 6000. And it's actually the real product is actually an awesome product. It's very reasonably priced. It's a consumer level product that takes great pictures. It certainly has the ability to do professional work, as do just about many other cameras nowadays, including just about any halfway decent camera. And these people were saying that they had ditched the Bannon, 5D some kind of product for this one because it was so much smaller and so much lighter and so much more convenient. They just really loved it. And of course, they had some features that were different, like maybe focus peaking and that sort of stuff. But the message was so consistent from these pop-ups and from these few somewhat known photographers that it seemed, to me anyways, that it was orchestrated in some way. Now, let's be kind of clear. So if you are truly a professional photographer, and you have already professional gear, is it likely that many people are going to go from professional gear down to a consumer level product? And if they were, why not just go to a consumer level, smaller camera in that line? So if you have, for instance, a Canon product and you wanted something smaller, well, why not go with a Digital Rebel Canon, because then you can use all your lenses and flashes and all that kind of stuff. Or if you're a Nikon, go for one of the 3000 series. I mean, they all take excellent pictures, right? Why would you switch brands and go from a full frame sensor to a crop frame sensor? And well, maybe people do, but it just seemed a bit orchestrated. And in fact, after those channels popped up for a while, I then saw a commercial that was perhaps orchestrated by the Banyan product. So this was, again, two guys sitting in a family room type setting or in a basement or something, and they had a big long table, and they were just the average typical guys, and they were going to compare the I'm trying to think of my Banyan 5D blah 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 against the Tony 6000 blah blah blah. And the guy with the, I'll just use this as an example. We'll pretend that this is the Tony product or the Banyan product. You decide which one you want. So the Banyan, the Tony guy would say, I really want to compare my camera because I think it's really awesome or something like that. And then the Banyan product guy would say, well, let's compare it against my 5D. And then this guy would say, well, I've got whatever. Awesome focusing, and the other guy would say, but mine is faster. And then the guy holding the Tony product would say, oh, I guess you're right. And then he'd say, but I also have whatever, some other feature. And then this guy here would say, yes, but mine's better. Oh, I guess you're right. And they went through like 5 or 10 points, and of course each time the Banyan product was superior to the Tony product, and it's wow, that was really awesome, and it seemed ridiculous to me. But here again, who do I know? I'm not I don't have a secret camera or a fly on the wall. So that is a more deceptive way. What I'm seeing now, though, is a very traditional way of subtly marketing your product and subtly perhaps impacting the people that are reviewing cameras. And so this is probably the more important thing for us to know as consumers out there. And I'm not saying that any of these folks, any of these these camera channels are in any way being deceptive or dishonest, or they're being bought out in a true sense by by a camera company. But I think we just need to know. So in sales, a lot of times you will establish friendships or connections with the people that you're selling to. You take your business client out to a fancy restaurant or wherever. If you're a senator, maybe a lobbyist will take you on a super expensive golfing junket someplace. I know in my life as a doctor, reps from drug companies would often bring us lunch, and they would give you like a little 2 or 3 minute spiel on the latest drug or something, and you'd get your bowl of soup and sandwich and chips and go forward. Or in one point we get like free pens and free staples. They were all complete junk, by the way, but we would get that kind of stuff. And you think, well, does that impact you in any way? Well, it may. So how could this impact people from these camera channels, right? Well, in a couple of ways. First of all, think about these folks. Now, I really don't think any of these camera folks, they might be extremely knowledgeable. In fact, we rarely see their work, so I can't even tell you if they're good photographers, but they do seem like they know their stuff. But they have invested a tremendous amount of time and probably money and energy to produce these channels that are cranking out videos at least weekly, often multiple times a week, often multiple channels. I mean, they have a gigantic investment in doing that. And so I can't imagine they have tons and tons and tons of time to shoot pictures, right? I mean, they might have some time, but they can't have tons and tons of time. And so this has really been where they have shined. And God bless them, because I've learned a lot of information from them. But they need content, and they need to be on the cutting edge, and they need to, if you want to have 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to say prescribers, subscribers, or 200,000 or 1 million subscribers, you have to have engaging content. You have to have the latest camera. You have to have the headline, the breaking story, so to speak. And you get those if you have a relationship with the company. It doesn't have to be one where you sell yourself out, but you have to have there has to be some sort of a friendly connection. If you're going to get that camera 3 weeks before everyone else is going to get it, they're going to give it to you for a reason. If they're going to invite you to a press release, they're going to invite you for a reason. If they're going to invite you on a junket someplace and they fly you off to some exotic spot or some fancy city, and they hotel you and they feed you, and then they give you special classes on the product, and they have models set up, and you want to be invited again because you want to be able to present that the next time. And plus, I'm sure if you're just your typical photographer, you're not rolling in dough, right? So if you're the typical photographer, you're like, hey, I just got taken to New York, or I just got taken to New Mexico, or I just got taken to some exotic place in Europe, and I was wined and dined and treated like a king or queen, and and I got to play with this camera, and I got a boost on my YouTube channel because people want to know about this camera. So how does that impact you? Well, I think it impacts you subtly. Here again, I am absolutely not saying that any of these people are like in the pocket of the camera companies, but I do know that if you establish I'm a psychiatrist, right? So if you establish a positive relationship with someone, they're going to view you and the things around you in a more positive way. So you are going to be more kind to a particular camera or device. You're going to be more likely to see the positives in that device, and you'll be less likely to see the negatives. They'll be less important to you. If you're in one of those positions and you know that if you would completely slam a camera, that you're not going to get invited to the next press release or the next junket someplace or the next whatever, or you're not going to get that camera early, you might think twice about how you carefully word something. And you might have to carefully, maybe just package it. So if you see something where they say this much negative about a camera and this much positive, screaming it out, you might be a little cautious about that. Here again, not saying that anyone is even doing this deliberately. This is just human nature. This is the way it is in the world. This is what sales folks have done for generations, right? This is nothing new. It's not illegal, but it really is something that's very, very effective. You establish a personal connection. You offer something that's exclusive. That person can only get that thing that's exclusive if they have that personal connection. If they go with someone else or they make you feel bad, they don't get that exclusive content or that exclusive prize or that being taken out to dinner or whatever. And it makes people think, and it affects how they hawk a product or review a product or whatever they do. So that's just my personal opinion. But what I'm really saying it for the reason that when you watch these things, I know there's a whole slew of things coming out now because new cameras are being released now, and you watch them and you'll see just these incredible, this camera is 10 times his faster processing, and focusing is 90% better, and color rendition with the blah 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 is superior. And then you get the camera and you go, well, yeah, it's a little bit better, but it's not that much better than the version before, or even two versions before. Think about what I'm saying today. Anyway, if you have a different opinion, please put it down there. I'm not trying to say nasty things about any particular reviewer out there or any particular channel, because I watch them too, and I like them, and I learn from them. But if you get some time, please subscribe to this channel. It's very diverse. I do a lot of different stuff, from cameras to other things. But if you're a diverse person, if you like different sorts of things, you might like my channel. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, it's okay to give me a thumbs down. If you want to make some really inane and stupid and insulting comments, then, of course, as always, I would say, please grow up. Also, I have a podcast. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed. It's with my wife and myself. I am a board-certified MD. I'm a physician, psychiatrist. My wife is a PhD clinical psychologist, and we talk about a variety of things. Actually, this one that I'm just going to edit after I do this video is on this rise of school shootings and teen suicides, and my wife and I are going to look at that from the vantage point of our clinical background and just personal experiences. So, anyways, that's going to go up tomorrow. So, if you're interested, check out my podcast on I guess Apple iTunes. It's still, anyways, check it out there. You can see I'm not very good at promoting these items. The other thing is I have a personal writing blog, drmikekuna.com, drmikekuna.com. I try to post usually a couple times a week, but at least once a week. And when I post, it really is just my personal feelings, things that are happening in my life. A lot of really, I'm kind of partially retiring now, and that has been something I worked for the last 10 years. And now that I'm actually doing it, I'm kind of freaking out. So if you want to see me freaking out in writing, you could read my blog. Anyway, bye everyone. And thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.